And we're live, and hello once again to another PGM show. Welcome back, you could say, to the PGM show tonight, where I have got my next guest. PGM show, and welcome back, you could say, to the PGM and I knew that was going to happen. I knew something was going to happen, and it did. I didn't turn myself down. Well, that's a laugh, isn't it? So. Oh God, everything is going wrong for the Pete. As I speak in a third person. Anyway, let's. I'm going to introduce you to my next guest. This guy, Aussie boys know who he is, like the KOC crew, Dan from Ed Five and Scott Crusher, of course. And now I know him, and now I'm going to actually interview him, have a good conversation with this guy. His name is Ryan, and please welcome Ryan, the Collected Kid. Hello.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? All right, how you going? I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm trying to get this. Come on. Work for me. There we go. Okay. Anyway, this is the PGM show. Of course, you know that now.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
You're welcome, where I get to actually interview a toy collector. And you are probably my 9th guest as I count up. If I can get my numbers right. Excuse me, as I reach the thing. Okay, Ryan. Oh, we got Ed. Ed's in here. Hello, Ed 5. Dan, how's it going? All right, should we get into it then?
Let's get into it, man.
Yeah. Okay. Here is the question. Okay, if I can probably read my own writing, it would be bloody good. What was your childhood like? Right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Obviously, I grew up with sort of shows like Doctor Who. That was kind of introduced from my dad at an early age. My mum's from New Zealand originally, so we did a lot of traveling to New Zealand and back to Melbourne. And I was always surrounded by toys and figures and that. My parents liked collecting stuff from antique shops and that. So I think that's kind of where I got the collecting bug from originally. And it kind of just, grew from there. Lots of Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, Spider-Man, all that kind of stuff. Thunderbirds.
Did you, when you got, let's say when you got older, did that continue on?
Into my teenager years. So from probably 14 onwards, I still, collected a lot of toys. So collected Thunderbirds, Spider-Man, Iron Man. My parents were still buying me, toys for Christmas and birthdays and things like that. So it was kind of something that I was always surrounded by. Yeah.
When did you say those kind of Star Wars toys? Mm-hmm. Your channel is basically really vintage toys, isn't it?
That's correct.
When did you start maybe collecting vintage toys?
Yeah.
As now your channel that is on.
I probably really started about 8 or 9 years ago collecting vintage toys. So like the Kenner Real Ghostbusters, the G.I. Joe, stuff like that. But recently has kind of, it dipped a bit for about 5 years. And then around when COVID hit around, 2020, I was like, I've got all these collection of toys that I'd love to kind of showcase to everyone. And that's where I decided to, create my own YouTube channel so I could, showcase my collection.
So actually begs a good question here. It's a good segue. When did you start your YouTube channel?
I started it in May 2020. So So I'm about almost 3-4 years ago now. Yeah.
I mean, because I started mine, and basically this one anyway, because I had another one that wasn't successful, but we won't go into that because it's not about me. I started this channel around about the same time as COVID, really.
Right.
And
Okay.
no, it wasn't. Sorry, I correct myself, and I'm lying. I'm lying. I started this in 2022. That's right. So it wasn't.
Oh yeah.
So you've been on YouTube for longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I see you have this fascination. I'll say that again. Fascination with Doctor Who.
Yep.
Where did that stem from?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned before, it's my childhood. I used to be on the TV when I come home from primary school, high school, and so I just really used to watch it every night and sort of fell in love with it. My first Doctor was Tom Baker, so that was kind of the introduction into Doctor Who, and then obviously Peter Davison and all the other Doctors. So yeah, it was just a show that I really enjoyed watching, and I loved the imagination behind it, and it really just
It was very
loved Doctor Who.
It
was very iconic. Yeah.
I mean, they had a lot of practical effects. They had a lot of back in the 1960s, that we were talking off camera, that it appeared to actually be, to me, like it was 1953 instead of 1960s.
That's correct.
Right? So, I mean, you must have got your imagination blown away when you saw these Daleks and these strange-looking aliens, from outer.
Yeah, it used to freak me out because I probably started watching it when I was about 9 or 10, and I just remember an episode where the Doctor actually pushed someone into like a acid bath, and it was like pretty horrific for back then. I was like, oh my goodness, but you kind of look at it now, it's a bit tacky, but yeah, I think they used what they had at the time, and I think it really did capture a lot of people's imaginations.
And still to this day,
it still does, yeah.
A lot of imaginations. It's been going since the Bond franchise is going.
Absolutely, yeah. We're talking about that James Bond, around the same time.
The amount of actors who actually portrayed Doctor Who is just incredible. I think there's probably a lot more actors who portrayed the Doctor Who character than James Bond has, right? So
yeah. Well, they did some movies as well, Dalek movies back in the 60s as well. The Doctor's actor was Peter Cushing, so they've recently re-released those in 4K. So yeah, wouldn't mind checking those out.
Anyway, we've got a lot of people in the chat, and I'm not ignoring you guys. Hello in the chat. Hi, Darth Muzzer. G'day, Matt, again.
Hey,
and Linda, hello.
Hey, Matt and Andrew.
And Darth Rock. Hello, Michael. I am here talking to Ryan, the Collector Kid from Australia, Perth. And he is really fascinated by Doctor Who. Now, I mean, they've got the toys out now. I mean, the new ones. Did they have any retro ones before they had the new ones?
Yeah, there were sort of a lot of toys from England back in the 60s and 70s that they had. For me, my first kind of toys that I had was back in the late 80s to early 90s. There was a company called Daypol, and they created the first kind of official figures and play sets that you could get from Doctor Who. So I had a handful of those my teenage years, and now I'm able to afford a lot of those different ones. I've just slowly started building up the old Daypol collection.
What do you think of the new and improved
The new
Doctors Who
figures.
new figures that's just come
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
So what do you,
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, they brought out the original set in 2005, and the classic series figures. Yeah, I love them. I think the sculpting is awesome, and I mainly try and collect the classic TV series because that was kind of what I grew up with. But I do have a couple of new series ones like your David Tennants and Matt Smiths and that. But yeah, the bulk lot of it is mainly classic series figures.
I mean, I also see moving off to with Doctor Who for a moment that hilarious or funny video that you did with Batman's.
Yes.
Tell me about that story, the behind the scenes story when leading up to this video.
Yeah,
I just know what that was happening there.
I didn't think it was going to take off as much as it did, but it was just a bulk lot that I managed to get through eBay, and I really wanted to showcase it. And yeah, I forgot how many sort of Batman figures I got, but I think in the end it was like 40 or 50. It was quite a lot.
Matt has just frozen a wee bit. Hopefully he'll be back with us. Anyway,
can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. You just
just froze a little bit. Yes, I'm.
You just froze and whoop. That's fine. That's fine.
All
He's
good.
back with us. He's back with us. People. Don't panic. Okay. So where were you on that story?
Yeah, so it was just a bulk collection of Batman figures that I got off eBay, and I didn't think that it would kind of blow out to the way the way it did. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of showcase all the different types of Batman figures that you could get, and play sets and things like that. And yeah, that was pretty much it. But yeah,
with all your retro action figures lines, what do you collect the most?
Well, that's a tough question. I would probably say the most would be Doctor Who, because that's kind of what I started the channel with, and a bit of Ghostbusters, but it is slowly starting to leak into Turtles, as you can see behind here. So I got the Turtle Bug from Scott Crusher. And that
let's all blame Scott Crusher for that.
Yeah, in a good way. But yeah,
yes,
obviously getting to know Scott.
I was being sarcastic.
Awesome. Yeah. Lots of different toy lines, but yeah, I would say probably Doctor Who and Turtles is probably my biggest collection at the moment.
And that would be, of course, retro Turtles. It wouldn't be anything like NECA or the new line, right?
No, I try and stray from newer stuff. I always try and get the vintage as original as possible, because that's what I grew up with. And for me, it's like, piece of my childhood,
What do you think of, and I'm going to go on here because I'm always discussing this with lots of people in my interviews and conversations, that what do you think about the prices now being raised? Is that any problem of yours or the retro collecting bug that you've got? Does that come into question for you or not so much?
Yeah, look, I think a lot, you've sort of got your main common characters or figures that you can get for Turtles. So you can get your common Turtle starter figures and that, but it's kind of more the not as common figures that are starting to go up in price. Same with Toxic Crusaders. I recently finished that collection, but a lot of that is getting harder and harder to find if you just want like single pieces. So I always try and sort of buy in bulk so that it keeps your costs down and shipping. But yeah, I think if you find the right person and they're happy with good price, then sometimes can be in your favor. But I think to your question, yes. So you're still there? Yeah.
What are the prices when you go to conventions? Are they the same in the retail, or are they different, or are they much cheaper?
Sometimes, like if you know the person, you can sometimes get a cheaper price, or you might find someone who just wants to move it on, so they're not too attached to the price. So they might be like, maybe an offer, or I'd be happy with this amount of money. And yeah.
So you're not departing with you're not departing with copious amounts of cash out of your wallet.
Yeah, from time to time I am, but obviously I budget and
yeah.
things
I mean,
like
I
that.
don't
But,
like to collect retro, so
yeah.
I collect.
Look, it is an expensive hobby, as you know, but yeah.
Yes, is smelling that plastic crack is always. So, and I can probably attest to that, and so can everybody in the chat. Smell that crack.
That's it.
That
Plastic crack.
Plastic crack, not the other crack. So don't get me wrong. Don't go there, people. I tell you.
No.
Okay. I think someone left. I think it was Michael. So, good night, Michael. I just actually caught that. So yeah.
Right.
What about? Okay, we've got the pricing bit out of the way, but what about this? I can't pronounce that word tonight. Distribution. There we go. Is that a factor in your collecting history or now? Do you have a problem with that?
Distribution, as in regards to?
In regards to actually getting your toys, or looking for toys, or looking for action figures,
particular toy lines and things like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting into that question.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
I find some toy lines are harder to find, and you can really only sort of source them through eBay. So things like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures or Visionaries are sort of getting harder to find. But sometimes you might find, as I said, someone on eBay in Australia might be selling one or two things or a bulk lot, or you might go to a local toy show and someone might have exactly what you're looking for. But I think that's the thrill of collecting vintage toys is you never know what you're going to sort of find, but you obviously have a set list of certain items that you're looking for at the time.
I mean, you guys in Australia have a lot more toy shows than ever before. Would that be true?
Yeah, I think we're pretty spoiled for choice, but if you are sort of looking for a specific toy line, vintage toy line, that's kind of where sometimes you might have to order something from America or overseas to get that set item. But I think, we have pretty good selection of vintage toys that you can get all around Australia.
I think you do, because I think Matt, and Andrew and Scott and everybody came back from a toy show, and and it's just
I think you've cut out there, Pete.
Oh, did I? Oh, can you hear me? Oh, you good?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. What's going on? You there, Ryan? It's really weird. I didn't even touch my mute.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Are you there? Hello? I'm having technical difficulties.
I can't actually hear you. Sorry.
I can hear you, Ryan, but you can't hear me. So, okay. That's really frustrating. Okay. Do you want to? Okay. I don't know what to do. Can you hear me now? Hi, Si. Just having a wee bit of technical difficulty. Ryan cannot hear me. I can hear him. Okay. Just bear with me a moment. Okay. Ryan, can you hear me? Hello,
Okay.
Ryan? Huh?
I just can't hear you, Pete.
Okay, I can hear you. Okay.
I'm not sure what's happened on the line there. Are you muted or? Yeah, I can
No?
see your microphone's muted.
Yeah,
Okay.
not now. I've unmuted it. So
Do you want to get me out and I can come back in and try that?
do you want me to send a link? Okay, because can you hang on?
Interpretive sense.
This is really odd because I didn't touch.
Do you want to put me into the green room and then I can come back?
All right.
Come back.
Having a wee bit of technical difficulty, and see if we can get him back. Are you back with us? Are you back with us, Ryan? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ryan? It's weird. I haven't really.
Hello.
I haven't. Hello. Can you hear me? Ryan, can you hear me? That is really odd. I don't know what's happened. I really don't know what's happened.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. You can't hear me, right? This is really odd. Okay. Oh, okay. He's done it. Okay, this is really odd. I haven't touched anything like mute or anything like that. These things happen, and having a strange night, aren't we, people in the chat? Anyway, I hope you are enjoying it as much as I am here on the PGM show. Hopefully, he will be back, and we can resume the show. Okay. Anyway, how's everybody going?
No.
Are you are you there?
You there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Can
can
you hear
hear
me?
you now. Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I really don't know what happened. Sorry, mate. I was talking to you and then you just completely went. So, yeah.
Okay. Technical difficulties because just actually saying to the audience or the chat room here that I didn't touch a mute button until I touched the mute button, and
No, that's okay.
That is weird. That is so weird.
Yeah. I guess it is pretty hot here, so my computer is. I've just put the fan next to it because it's getting quite hot, so it might have been something to do with that. I don't know. But
okay.
Anyways, all good. We're back.
Okay. We can hear each other, which is which is good.
That's important.
And things happen. I mean, technical difficulties in streaming service.
All the time, mate.
So, what we all need now is love, sweet. No, don't worry. It's a bad joke and anything.
Yeah.
It's really hot here too, Ryan. I'm sweating my ass off. It's but it's just I can actually remember. Here's a story I want to share with you. I think the boys probably Andrew and Matt. I was interviewing them, or I think it was on a stream that I didn't have my first stream, so I didn't have my computer plugged in, and and my battery went out, and almost I think once or twice it completely went dead.
Mm-hmm.
My computer went completely dead because I didn't have the ability to actually hook up my plug to my computer here, because I work off a Surface Pro, and that's it's sometimes it's the running joke with a mate of mine over in America and anywhere else, like that. I'm not going to do it, Pete, and just and totally go, and my battery dies. So it's kind of be the joke. So
it's technology. Sometimes it works well, and then sometimes it doesn't.
And other times it's a complete utter pain in the ass. I'm like Dr. Grant. Every time I touch it, it just goes haywire. So, okay. Just checking the chat just to say hi. And thank you for staying with me, everybody, and hanging out with me.
Sorry about that technical difficulties.
That's fine. Ryan, they'll understand. And
that's to repatch the TARDIS console. There you go.
But where were we anyway?
We were talking about
as I asked my guests, actually I should know.
We were talking about how readily available is vintage retro toys in Australia, and I was just explaining that we are spoiled for choice with a lot of different toy lines. I think it more just comes down to if you are looking for a specific character or a really hard to find toy line. Sometimes you have to go to America or overseas. That's kind of what I was talking about before we had the intermission.
I really should. I'm actually looking at about that. Is this if things like that happens again, I'd probably have some little dinky music intermission.
Yeah, that's right.
just to actually pass the time, like elevator music. That's
it. Yeah, you could have just queued up a sort of a intermission.
It's funny because it does work on my channel to have all these problems.
Yeah.
It's like I should actually rename my P.G.M Show. Sometimes complete stuff ups. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. That joke didn't work. It's gone right over Ryan's head.
Sorry, I did. Yeah.
So I was just making a joke because sometimes, these things it's a complete stuff up.
Yeah, that's
on my end. Anyway, so okay. I mean, how I'm going to go back to I'm going to go back to New Zealand.
Okay.
Did you live in New Zealand for a while, or just did you then when you were a child did you go?
Uh,
Oh yeah.
no, I never lived in New Zealand, but my mum traveled quite a bit. We traveled quite a bit as a family, um, when I was a kid and sort of a teenager. So it was, yeah, I always had fond memories of going there. And again, I'd get my uncle to take me to collectible shops and comic book shops and stuff like that, to sort of get whatever I was into at the time. It was like Thunderbirds and Stingray and stuff like that.
So it kind of appears to me that you had family, parents who were pretty good with getting you toys and action figures, right?
Yeah,
So you very good.
absolutely.
Again, going back to childhood,
Yep.
is that you had a great childhood and toys, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
And and you didn't grow out of them. All right.
No,
So,
I didn't.
okay. But it just amazes me that, I mean, excuse my rudeness here, but you're a young guy, right?
Yeah.
I probably asked this question before, but why retro? I mean, why? Because these are classed as. I'm not classing it. I'm sorry if it did sound like that. I'm not classing it
No,
as old,
no.
TV shows or cartoons. But why retro? As to
Yeah,
your age.
to my
Sorry.
age. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, I grew up in the 81, so I'm like sort of 10 years younger than you, if that's cool. But yeah, I think it comes down to, again, like the toys that I grew up with at that time period. So particularly sort of the late 80s to early 90s. And I think you sort of, based on the amount of years, you kind of have that nostalgic feeling or that attachment, which kind of makes it feel like retro vintage. I guess that's the best explanation that I could probably give. And I know Scott's kind of talked about this quite a lot on our channel and with you as well. But I think it comes down to what era you kind of grew up in. You have that attachment to that particular toy line, which makes it feel retro or vintage, I would say.
Because it doesn't. I mean, and my story here, that I'm 51.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the 80s,
Yeah.
through the 90s, and mind you, my life took a different trajectory than yours or Scott's or anybody else's. But I'm not really. I mean, I love to learn about retro stuff, toys, action figures, and because I talk to all you guys, but I don't collect in that genre. I collect.
Okay.
I mean, unless you can count TVC, but you can probably regard that as newish, I guess. TVC line, not
Yeah.
nostalgic. Would you agree with that? If there's
I guess so. Yeah. Again, it is a hard question, because I think, you've got people collect lots of different things. So, people collect coins and stamps. I met someone that just collects Smurfs. That's all they collect.
I did too.
Yeah.
I know.
They're a little. Yeah. So I think it's sort of, again, the stories behind the toys and why we collect them. That's what makes them so special. So I don't think like a modern toy or a vintage toy is kind of. I think it just depends on what you enjoy collecting, and if it makes you, I guess, makes you happy and positive. That's sort of why we love collecting, different types of toys, I would say.
I mean, I'm going to throw it to, I think that's
To the
Andrew.
chat.
I think
Yeah.
that might be Andrew's call sign. He spelt my name with 2 T's, but I won't hold that against him. So what happened to the 70s, Peter? Well, there is a bit of a story in that, and I know it's Ryan. I'm interviewing Ryan, but
It's okay.
Ryan,
I don't mind.
yeah, I mean, what happened for me in the 70s? Yes, I do actually remember one instance where I can recall that my dad, when I was a kid, and my whole family went to Disneyland. I think it was in the 70s. I mean, it's hard memory to actually think about the dates now, but I did actually have a child, you could say, child mentality to actually collect Star Wars and everything like that. But I don't. When I got older, I didn't have that. It went completely out the wrong window.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my story, and that's what intrigues me with all you guys, because you've kept the essence of childlike essence
Mm-hmm.
with childhood, teen, and adulthood.
That's right.
Would that be correct in saying?
Yeah. As I said, it's always, there might have been a couple of years where I sort of weren't collecting as much, but it was always something that I'd come back to. It was something that I enjoyed or something I'm familiar with. So I don't think you never lose it.
I mean, you don't really, do you?
No.
I mean, mind you, I did, because I had a tough 10 years in the bottle and nightclubs and bars, getting drunk most nights and just making an ass out of myself, and then having another 10 to 15 years going cold turkey. I mean, that's why I love to actually talk to you, Matt, or Andrew, or anybody else, because I get to learn
Absolutely.
more stories about
Yep.
collecting. It
Yeah.
fascinates me. It actually fascinates me, even with your intro. It fascinates me because you have this fascination and, dare I say, infinity with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, as I said, like I've loved Doctor Who pretty much all my life, and a lot of it, like I've got a Doctor Who pinball machine. That's something that I always wanted to get, as a kid, and then my wife found me one, about 10 years ago on eBay. So,
oh wow, okay.
So that's kind of another story, but like, Doctor Who's kind of always been something that's been there all the time. So yeah, I did see. Sorry, go.
Sorry, no, you go. Sorry. Yep.
I did see a question that Dan or Ed5 had sort of put out. It was asking me why.
Where's that?
Why Tom Baker?
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you had two questions. Yeah. So you had the Grail piece, and then I think the second question was favorite Doctor. So
okay,
I can try and get the Grail piece if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I can't make you big because I don't know how to do that. So
no, that's okay.
So.
And I have done an episode on this, but it's right up the back, of course. So I'm just trying to.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, smash that like. So. Hey, Toys Mortician. Is it Mortician? I pronounced that right. Ryan's just. I'll take the words out from Andrew.
So just flexing a bit. This is the 25th anniversary Doctor Who day poll.
Someone's fallen out of the.
Yeah, he's fallen out of the. That's all right. Yeah, this was the 25th anniversary Doctor Who TARDIS playset, and this was something that I always wanted to get. But yeah, very hard to find in Australia. And yeah, I've sort of been looking on eBay for probably 10, 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And if you have a look on eBay, these go for about $1,000 to $1,200. That's including shipping and stuff like that. So the story behind this was last year in May. I was able to find a local collector of Doctor Who. I was buying like a little Tom Baker Daypole figure off him, and he sent me a photo of his collection room, and he had this up in the back, and I just happened to say, look, that's an item that I've been looking for a very, very long time. Is it something that you'd be willing to let go or sell? And he got back to me within, I think, 8 hours or so, and we came up with an agreement, and I ended up getting it at a really good price. So very, very happy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of my holy grail piece. I mean, obviously I've got lots of other grail pieces, but as you know, because I'm a Doctor Who fan, this was kind of something that I always wanted. So yeah.
Well, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, going from toys to TV again.
That's right. You can sort of see that set up there.
I mean, we were talking in the green room about actors playing the titular character as Doctor Who. You know, who did you grow up with? I mean, again, tell us who you grew up with watching.
Yeah, so that's correct. So as I mentioned earlier, when I was watching Doctor Who, it was the Tom Baker era. So that's kind of why the Fourth Doctor was my doctor, I guess, because that's the one that I grew up with, but also loved his sense of humor. I loved his outfit, like he had the cool long scarf and the hat and goofy smile, and some classic episodes in there too. But I think, and then obviously the other actors or other doctors came along after that.
I grew up with. I mean, like I said to you, I grew up watching Doctor Who, but not all the way through.
No.
My favorite Doctor Who was Peter Davidson.
That's right. Yeah, he came after Tom Baker. Yeah.
But I think there was a program. Correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, or Ryan. There was a program called Sink or Swim. I think Peter Davidson was in that with another actor. Okay. I'm not too certain. So that was my correlation. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, guys. That might be in relation to that program to Peter Davison as Doctor Who.
I haven't heard of that show before, but the show that I'm most common with that he was from was Little Creatures Great and Small.
That's the English one. I've got the wrong one. There we go. Yeah. See, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I can be wrong.
It's an English show. So that's right. You, there you go. That's kind of why I was into Doctor Who so much in English stuff, is because my parents, we used to love, like in Australia they're called ABC or Channel 2, and they would often show quite a lot of British or English TV shows, so comedy, drama, everything. So that's kind of how I know, where he sort of started at, and then became the Doctor after that show.
Sorry, guys. I was doing that while I was listening to Ryan.
Yeah, anybody got a jelly baby? Yeah. Well, look, he was also the Tom Baker. He was the longest running Doctor as well. He 7 years. So I think
didn't his son play a Doctor Who? Colin Baker play Doctor Who as well?
Yeah, Colin Baker.
Yeah. Yep. I mean. Throughout the histories, there, as I was talking to you in the green room again, there were more Doctor Who actors who played Doctor Who than James Bond actors.
Yes.
I mean, it's a no-brainer as well. I mean, everybody's going to tell me, yeah, well, that's correct, Pete. Yeah, but I'm saying, I mean, we're discussing it has gone through a lot of changes, though, isn't it?
Mhm.
The writing,
Writing
has gone through a lot of changes. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you would agree there was a period in that Doctor Who writing that wasn't that good or that brilliant, was it? Until they had to change.
Yeah, that's right. I think,
So,
yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the showrunners weren't as good as you would expect. I mean, I still watch the show because, I want to support it, but I think, yeah, for you and me, I think the classic series is kind of the golden
so
era.
you've really watched the whole way through, isn't it? Through all of them
Yeah,
now, because they're all box sets now, aren't they?
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, yeah. There was a little bit of side note if I can share. So in yeah. So what happened was around 95, 96, Doctor Who stopped airing on Channel 2 in Australia.
Right.
And so I actually wrote a letter, reruns basically, because the show actually finished in 1989. So, yeah, it was a lot of reruns that we would get in Australia. Anyway, I actually wrote a letter to the ABC asking why Doctor Who wasn't on the show, or wasn't on their channel. And they actually wrote back and they said, well, Foxtel actually got the rights for 10 years to show it. So basically, that was kind of back because back then you didn't really have internet and have kind of just had to go off magazines or newspapers and stuff.
We had mice on wheels.
Pigeon mail. Yeah. But yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, but during those kind of wilderness years, as they say, they did make a movie in 1996 with Paul McGann. I don't know if you've seen the Doctor Who movie. And they said, we don't have the rights to the TV series, but we do have the rights to the movie. And they said it's going to be coming out on the 7th of July, which is my birthday. So that was kind of pretty cool to be able to, watch it on my birthday on TV. So, yeah. And then after that, I think it was around 2003, they got the rights back and they actually rerun Doctor Who from the first Doctor right up to the 7th. And I think that was over the course of like a whole year. So I was showing it like 5 days a week.
Well, talking about, is it Whittaker?
Jodie Whittaker? Yep.
Talking about her, I mean, what did you think about, I mean, should have she gotten as a Doctor Who, let's say, enthusiast? What do you reckon that she should have got a better deal than she did?
Yeah, I mean, as a Doctor, yeah, like I knew her from Broadchurch, which was a drama murder sort of series, which had David Tennant in as well. So I watched a couple of episodes, and I've gone blank now with the current show. It was Chris Trimble. He actually wrote Broadchurch, and then so I think when he became the showrunner of Doctor Who, he chose her because he knew her well, I guess. And I don't have anything against her as an actor. I think she's great, but I think where she fell short was the scripting and the storytelling wasn't on point.
I mean, I heard rumblings that with Bradley Walsh's character was on it for a wee while.
Yeah.
That the writing really wasn't connecting their characters together. And I think the fandom was saying that, why is she being so horrible to Bradley Walsh's character? Because they're not really, she treated his character badly. So there was rumblings in that.
Yeah.
So that's what I heard. The rumblings, anyway. The writing, should have been better, but they've got new writers now, haven't they?
That's
so
correct.
As to David Tennant coming back,
so they've kind of brought it back to Russell T Davies, because Russell T Davies was the guy that actually brought Doctor Who back in 2005. So I think, definitely awesome to get him back on board. So looking forward to seeing where they go with the new series.
I mean, it's like I said, it's just got a huge history. You can probably talk for bloody years and years.
As I said, it's the longest. It is the longest sci-fi TV series ever.
I mean, they've got one actor that I can't figure out his name, who was a wizard who came to New Zealand to play a wizard in the Hobbit movies.
Yep. That would be Sylvester McCoy.
That's the one.
He was the Seventh Doctor. Yep.
Yeah, he was wonderful in Doctor Who.
Very he was awesome.
Funny and quirky. Plus, when he did the wizard here, Radagast. That's the one. Radagast.
Yeah, Radagast. Yeah.
He was the same, kind of nearly the same character, funny, quirky, and dare I say this whole word, jaunty.
Yeah, I would say I connected with Tom Baker and Sylvester McCoy more because they were again showing a lot of Tom Baker and Sylvester McCoy. I mean, obviously I watched quite a bit of Peter Davison and Colin Baker, but I liked how dark the show got with the Seventh Doctor, and I think it was a great actor. So,
I mean, I'm always not intrigued, but I'm always excited when they get to actually rejuvenate, and it's a different actor.
I'll regenerate. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that kind of it. So, who's the next actor?
Yeah, that was always the who's it going to be? And then you would sort of get used to that actor and that way of portraying the Doctor. So
shame that the action figures don't do that either.
No.
That would shock the hell out of me if they did that. So, well, look, Ryan, it's rejuvenating into Matt Smith, right? So, how's everything going in the chat? Again, talking to Ryan, the Collector Kid. You guys all know him. So, just actually trying to actually open this. If you want to ask Ryan a question, go for it. And
open it up.
And let's see what we've got. So I think everybody's here we go. So Matt's just said so.
That's McCoy,
yeah. So I mean, with this long history, do you think these new figures have got a long history, or people just buy them and then they'll just
So you mean the Doctor Who series at the moment?
Or no, the figures.
The figures. Yeah, toy line. It's interesting. I think like a lot of the previous series are harder to get. That's kind of when they release new stuff like Daleks or TARDISes, I try and get them when they're current. It's hard to say. I'm not too sure how long it might last. It might last a couple more years. But yeah, last year was a bit dry for Doctor Who toys, I would say. Yeah.
Where did you get your TARDIS from? Your toy TARDIS from?
Toy TARDIS?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess a lot of them I got directly through character options or again through eBay or my local comic book shop. So they had a local seller vendor that had them. So I always try and get local if I can. So particularly when new Doctor Who stuff comes out, I go to my the local comic book shop, Collector Zone.
Here's a question for you from Matt.
It's a trumpet. What kind of question is that? Okay.
I think he's just pulling your leg.
Yeah.
20. Go and buy a crumpet and tell us how many.
Yes. Yeah. Hey Scott. can see you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's saying g'day to Scott.
Yeah.
And just want to give out a shout out to Linda. She was in the chat before.
Okay.
Say hello to Linda and
Hi, Linda.
And Muzzer as well, and here of course always. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in your collecting life, I mean, we did really talk about your major interest is Doctor Who, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your toy collection is mainly Doctor Who, and then the Turtles. Just trying to see. I get this one. I'm trying to see the question here, but I mean, would you go down another rabbit hole to another line, or Turtles and Doctor Who?
To be honest, I'm in lots. I'm in lots of rabbit holes at the moment. I mean, they're kind of the main toy lines, but I also have Real Ghostbusters. That was kind of probably my second toy line that I was collecting with Doctor Who, and that was sort of again in childhood. I saw Ghostbusters for the first time on VHS tape, and then primary school, after school at a friend's place, and it scared the crap out of me. Same with Star Wars. That was when I first experienced Star Wars on VHS. I think one of my friends in primary school always had everything. So he got given, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Real Ghostbusters, and that. So for me, that's kind of where it stemmed from. I was like, well, I always wanted to have that, those kind of toy lines, but could never afford them at the time. So I think that's kind of what sort of started that collection recently.
Got a question here. I'm just actually flicking back up to it.
From Ed 5.
I think it was Ed 5 that it was Star Wars related, wasn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it was. What is your favorite Star Wars movie and vehicle?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Like I like all the originals, like obviously A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But I think for me, I really loved Return of the Jedi because it sort of had a bit of everything. And I just loved, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber light was green, and the vehicles and Jabba the Hutt and how they sort of went to different areas. But for me, I guess, the vehicle, probably the best vehicle would have to be the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo. My dad actually bought me one in high school. Power of the Force, though, at the time, but it was still pretty awesome.
And that's where we'll leave it for now, I think, on that amazing word, awesome. Because really collecting toys and action figures from retro or whatever you collect is awesome.
Yes.
I think everybody would agree with me on that one. So I am going to thank Mr. Ryan from Ryan the Collecting Kid, and thank everybody for joining me here again tonight because of the we've had our fun with me getting the time zones wrong.
Time vortex,
yes, time vortex, and we've had fun getting to know Ryan as he grew up collecting action figures throughout his life, through his teens and through his adult life, and him being really relatively like everybody in here, and including myself, a big child. So I really want to thank Ryan, of course,
thank you so much.
Being on the P.G.M Show. Let's give him a hand, everybody, in the chat. Let's give him a hand. He's been great, hasn't he? Fantastic.
My pleasure.
So,
thank you for having me again. It was awesome.
It's been fun. It's actually been a great educational tool for me to get to know you and get to know what you collect and retro figures. I just want to thank all the chat for actually hanging in there with the technical difficulties.
Yes.
Not sometimes, but we got there in the end. Shout out to Sci-Fi, Scott, Matt, and Andrew, Ed, Linda, and everyone else who are probably Mother. Sorry, Mother. For thank and sorry if I forgot some of your names. If you Toy Maison, I think it was. I probably botched that one up. Thanks for popping in. Anyway, thank you again, as I do, repeat myself.
Thank you very much.
Like parrot.
Yeah.
Ryan, for joining me as my guest tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm always happy to come on the show. So yeah.
Thank you once again. It is me, and that is the P.G.M Show tonight. Join me next time with my next guest, and that's probably going to be a surprise even to me. So, good night, all. Take care. Stay safe out there, and until next time, I'll see you later.
Good night.